Yeah, yeah. Uh. What is going on, beautiful people? We are back. Bad Decisions, episode 19. As always, my name is Finesse. I hope you guys are having an amazing Friday so far. I'm a little under the weather, so excuse, that if I'm sniffling, I might sneeze. I might have to mute you guys real quick so I could do my business. You know what I'm saying? We'll get through it though. We'll get through it. Beautiful Friday evening. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Those of you that are here early. Um, UFC London, man. UFC London, an amazing card. UFC card is going down tomorrow. And we're here to talk about it, man. 14 fights, or now 13 fights on the card, man. And it's a pretty good card, man, from a viewer and a fan perspective, from a betting perspective. Excuse me. I think it's a really good card, man. So, like I always say, man, you guys are in the right place at the right time. We are going to get paid last card. I forget what it was. I forget what numbered fight night it was, but we went up 7.06 units, so over 7 units of profit last card. So we're looking to do that again, man, and build on that. As you guys know, I'm as transparent as it gets. We start the streams with a little bit of a recap. I was live yesterday. We did an NBA stream. I felt extremely good about the slate, extremely good about my reads. And we got absolutely punished. It was not a good stream. We went down over 6 units last stream. So, listen, nobody likes to hear that. I hate it just as much, more, than you guys do. Days like that are few and far between, which is nice. But days like that happen, man. If you watch the stream and tell my action, you know what happened last night. You know how incredibly unlucky, how incredibly disgusting some of these beats were. But yeah, this ain't the stream for that. I'm not going to yap about the beats. We'll go more in depth on our next NBA stream. But yeah, man, I'm always keeping it real with y'all. Terrible night last night. Put a screeching halt to what was an amazingly hot run. I was joking with my wife, man. Every time I attempt to talk my shit a little bit, I put it in the title of the video. Oh, 7 straight winning days. We're up 21 units, and every single time I do that, the gambling guys find a way to fucking, backhand the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hate doing that. But yeah, man, days like that happen. We move on. We're having an amazing March. We're going to continue that for UFC London, and we're going to bounce the fuck back as we always do. So hit that like button. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I think like 6 or 7 of y'all subscribed last stream, so incredibly grateful for that. Thank you guys for that. We're here every single week. We're going to do 2 to 3 streams weekly covering NBA. MLB's coming up, soon, right around the corner. UFC, NFL when it, circles back around. So yeah, man, and we gonna make money together. So appreciate you guys. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet the stream for me. Helps get new eyeballs on the stream. We're gonna talk about a lot of fights, talk about a lot of best bets. So if you guys have any best bets, if you guys have any questions, any long shot props, lotto legs you're looking at, feel free to put them in the chat. I love talking fights. Would love to chop it up with you guys. So, like I said, man, we got 13 fights to talk about. We got some best bets to talk about. We got some underdog shots to talk about. We got some long shot props to talk about. We have a lot of things to discuss. So without further ado, man, I think we just kind of get right into it. So, damn, none of these sites got dark mode, and that really fucking upsets me. So what is now the first fight of the night, because of the fucking catastrophic weight miss by Luana Carolina yesterday. Just blatant cheating. I get her and another chick mixed up so much. I want to make sure. Not a good start. Luana Carolina. Yeah. Okay. Just blatant cheating. Missed by 8 pounds. Fight got canceled. Poor Melissa Mullins, man. Anyway, so first fight of the night is now Chanel Dyer versus Ravenna Oliveira. And I do have some interest in that. These are in the wrong order. I do have some interest in this fight. So curtain jerker of the evening, UFC London, Chanel Dyer versus Ravina Oliveira. Current odds, Chanel Dyer, sizable favorite, minus 450. Comeback on Oliveira is plus 380. So obviously huge favorite, right? Books are telling you what they think. I agree. I think Chanel Dyer is going to win this fight. But obviously it's all about, finding value. We're trying to find value in these fights. And I got a couple of spots I'm looking at. I'm going to bring up the current lines. I don't want to give you guys any stale stuff. So yeah, like I said, man, I think Chanel Dyer is going to win this fight. Obviously, we saw her on Contender Series, one of the best fights, probably top 10, top 15 fights in Contender Series history. Amazing back and forth with Foro, I believe her name was. Both ladies land north of 115 significant strikes in a 3-round fight. It was just an absolute back and forth war. Both ladies got hurt. Chanel Dyer got hurt, shown her toughness, her grit, her ability to come back and still make it a fight. There's a reason, Dana gave both of these ladies a contract, including Dyer, who did lose that fight. And now it's pretty unique situation, right? You're off a loss on Contender Series, got a contract anyways, making UFC debut in front of a huge crowd, and you're a gigantic favorite, So that type of situation, I think she's a much better fighter than Oliveira. I think she's way more well-rounded. I think her cardio is better. I think her fight IQ is better. I think she's just an overall better fighter. I think she has much more finishing equity in a fight like this. We're going to talk about that in a second. But, yeah, so, I do think she's a rightful favorite. I think she's going to win this fight. There's no question about that. But in terms of parlaying her and things like that, I'm just not interested. You know what I'm saying? I think she has a lot of promise and a lot of potential as a fighter in this strawweight division. But I'm going to have to see it. You're going to have to show that you can consistently cover price tags like this before I even think about putting you in a parlay. With that said, like I did say at the top, there are some things that I'm interested in. The most obvious and kind of square one is Dyer by decision. Even those prices, and this is what I talk about, it's about finding value. You could think something's going to happen, but it's a terrible fucking price. Doesn't always mean it has to be a bet. Doesn't always mean all of your predictions have to be bets. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a fight game where anything could happen. Dyer by decision is minus 135 right now. Like I said, it's yes, you're cutting a giant favorite down a ton, but it's all about finding lines with value. I think personally she can win an extremely dominant decision. I think she can double up, triple up Oliveira on strikes. Pull away the later this fight goes and really dominate this fight, right? So if that happens, you look back and you lay minus 135 on a decision, it looks pretty good. One thing I was peeking at was Oliveira by unanimous decision. That'll get you even money. I was looking at it. It was plus 100. Now it's minus 110. That'll get you more around even money. Again, it's 25, 30-cent juice. That means something, though. That means something in terms of implied probability. So I'm looking at that. I wanted to take a peek, too, at Dyer round 3 decision. I think these fighters are... Again, I think Dyer has a lot to prove still, so I don't want to make generalizations about her, but I think if there's a fighter that's going to look better the later this fight goes, it's going to be Dyer. I think if there's a fighter that's going to work more into the fight, and look stronger and have a better gassing in round 3, I do think it's Dyer. So if I can group in some round 3 equity, then I would gladly take that. So Dyer round 3 or decision is minus 170. Again, it's more juice than I would like to lay. Especially where, Dyer's striking is a problem. Decent strength, decent power for the WMMA strawweight division. Nasty hands, right? Relatively good boxing, can mix it up, works the body decently well. We've seen, what's in her bag. If the Contender Series fight is the only fight you saw, I think that was a pretty good depiction of the type of fighter that Chanel Dyer is. So I also don't want to do that. I don't want to lay heavy juice. And, it's a late round 2 KO. And the read was there, but, we lose our money. So I don't know, man. I wanted to talk about this fight because I do really like Chanel Dyer. I think she has a lot to prove. Obviously, completely unproven UFC debut off a low, so I don't want to overhype her, especially at these odds ranges. One thing on the Oliveira side that piqued my interest is that sub price, man. I truly think Oliveira by sub is her money line. Sitting at plus 2,500 right now. I think that's an amazing price. Obviously her regular money line is what is it now? Plus 380, plus 350 around there. I truly think winning a decision, I do not think is in the likely range of outcomes for Oliveira, man. Like I said, I think she's gonna get double, tripled up on strikes. I think the damage, the pressure, um, the physicality is all gonna be on the Chanel Dyer side. I think that makes it extremely unlikely that Oliveira is gonna win a decision. What I have seen from Dyer, though, watching her tape, I have seen her um, in some very, very tricky positions and um, on a mat. You know what I'm saying? I'll double check this, but I believe her only loss was by sub. Again, I look at so many fucking fighters and this and that. Um, dun, 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 dun. No, she lost a decision. So it was that fight. Which fight was that? I can't remember, man. But um, obviously the only loss was the Contender Series fight, like we talked about. But um, you know, long story short, I have seen her in some precarious situations on the mat. I believe she's only like a blue belt or something like that in BJJ. That's where I think Oliveira can find any type of success, man. I think outside of that, I just can't picture it, man. I can't picture her winning minutes and having extended success on her feet striking. I think it's gonna have to be a greasy, winning a scramble here, winning a scramble there. Maybe some goofy shit happens. Maybe Chanel throws a kick, slips. Oliveira finds a way on top. Now she can work. So at 25-1, when I think that's your money line, that deserves a sprinkle. So, is it a likely outcome of this fight? No. I think Chanel Dyer winning and dominating this fight is the most likely outcome. But at 25-1, man, I'm gonna take a poke. I'm gonna take a poke at what I think is her only winning equity and her only finish equity, in my opinion. So, interesting fight, man. I think Dyer gets kind of a showcase spot, a spot that she can do her thing in front of a big crowd and kick off what's a good card. So, yeah, man, definitely looking at um, Dyer unanimous decision. Obviously, we're in London too. We're in Chanel Dyer's backyard. I should have mentioned that already. So home game, home turf for Dyer too. So even if this fight plays out 50, somehow if this fight plays out 50-50, we have that robbery fucking bad decision equity as well too. So Dyer by unanimous decision, even money I'm looking at. Dyer round 3 decision, and then Ravena Oliveira by sub 25-1. What I like doing, actually, I'll give y'all some sauce, even though it's not really fucking any sauce or anything. It's not a secret. So on FanDuel, they give you round combination props. You know what I'm saying? So if you go to FanDuel, popular, scroll all the way down. If you split it up, do Ravena Oliveira round 1, round 2 sub, it's 30-1. And then if you do round 2, round 3 sub, it's 40-1. I split my stake, play both of those, and then if she does find a sub in round 2, both of those tickets cash. You know what I'm saying? So you cash a 30-1 and a 40-1 if it just so happens to be in that second round. So I'll probably split like a third of a unit, something like that between those. Just a small little poke. I think that number has those numbers have extreme value. So all right. Moving on. Next fight of the night is going to be Shamrock versus Abdul Karim Al Sawadi. Current odds, Shamrock minus 120. Comeback on Al Sawadi is plus 110. The line's been moving. Shem was obviously a dog. As far as a couple days ago, I believe I was looking like Tuesday, Wednesday, Shem as a dog. And it's kind of been slow and steady movement towards Shem really since then. So as of right now, because again, that's what that matters. Yeah, Shem minus 120, minus 125. You catch a minus 130 on Cauchy. So, still slow but steady moving towards Shem, uh, I have interest on the Shem side, but that interest is definitely waning as the days go by and the more that I see. First of all, something completely not fight related, not stylistic related. Shem just seems like a complete fucking asshole. He just seems like a douchebag. I was there was little crumbles of that before, weigh-ins and face-offs and things like that. But then, guy coming off 2-year layoff, really no bad blood between the two. It's mostly just been on Shem's side talking shit on Sawadi on his YouTube channel and for fucking weeks already. Which is cool, build up a fight and all of that. But then you go, ceremonial face-offs, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You fake like you're going to fucking shake his hand and then you shove him, and then 30 minutes later, you're on Twitter fucking tweeting 5-6 times. Oh, look at this midget. Oh, look, he's scared. Like, bro, that shit is so lame to me, bro. It just, again, part of it is you selling a fight, but, this is not an isolated incident, Look at his fucking Twitter. Last 6 months, year. He just seems like a not a good fucking person. I don't know. I don't know him, but comes off like an asshole, that's for sure. So, very unlikable. Very easily fadeable, you know what I'm saying? But again, that has nothing to do with, any type of smart betting or anything like that. I just wanted to bring that up. He's a fucking asshole. So that's the first part. Second part is, again, and I pull up my notes like I have for every fucking fight, but a lot of this stuff, I have a whole section of my notes. Shit that it literally reads, shit I like at plus money. That's what it reads. Shit that I like at plus money. And now it's completely different, right? You're being asked to lay juice, not even money, but juice, minus 120, minus 130 on Shem. So completely different scenario. Missed the best of the line. I'm already hearing some rumblings on the Faye guy being on Shamrock. And I believe he is going to be on Shamrock. I think that's going to be, his dog of the week or whatever the fuck it is. So that's not good, in my opinion. It's just a lot of things I don't like. But nonetheless, that is the side that I'm interested in. I know sharps on both sides. From what I've seen, public action, sharp action, both sides are getting both of those things. You know what I'm saying? So seems like a kind of a civil war type of fight early on in this card. But yeah, I was interested in Shem moneyline. I was interested in Shem sub props. Maybe that's the way that I play it. Just focus on, some bigger plus money sub props and things like that. More stylistically, Al Sawadi's skilled, man. There are red flags on his side. We're going to talk about that. But I think he's pretty skilled, man. Great footwork, good speed, good strength, good combination of both, man. Consistently in motion, which you like. Going to be the much better striker, obviously. Much more technical, much faster. Pretty well-rounded, too. Can get his offensive wrestling and grappling work working and kind of mixing that in. And he's a great minute winner. A lot of those things that I mentioned are going to lead to guys, winning minutes, being hard to find, hard to hit, frustrating guys, pot shotting guys. Mixing that up with the power, though. It's not only pot shotting. You're moving a lot and you're circling, using the footwork, but pretty good power in his hands, too. But with all of that said, man, I thought at that point, again, Al Sawadi was minus money, at the time of this, but just too many concerns on the Al Sawadi side to lay juice. His baby chin is the first thing. I think he's been knocked out 3 times. He's been hurt several more times than that. The inactivity is another big thing. He's coming off a 2-year layoff. He's had giant layoffs before, so that is, it's not the first time. But this time is especially concerning. He's had spinal injuries, spinal surgeries, things like that. That's not shit that I want to hear, at all. When you're going in the cage and fighting another man. So, yeah, the injury history, like I said, it's not an isolated incident. It's a history. It's a pattern, and he gives up big, fight swinging, round swinging moments, which I don't like too. We'll talk more about that in a second. But, winning these minutes, but then letting up gigantic moments, that's not really good either. It's a yin and a yang, but, these giant moments you're giving up are going to sway rounds. They're going to win you rounds, despite you maybe winning the first 2.5, 3 minutes of these rounds. We've seen that many times. Shem on the other side, absolutely terrible striker, right? So me wanting to put my money, whether he's plus money, minus money, these are giant concerns, right? Obviously. Terrible striking defense. Probably like top five, Probably top five fucking worst. You know what I'm saying? It is not good to watch. The thing about that is I don't expect this to be a 15-minute kickboxing fight, So that's all anybody wants to say when it comes to Shem. We'll talk about his stock in a second too, but if I'm not expecting this to be a 15-minute kickboxing fight, that becomes less important, right? In a 15-minute kickboxing fight, I'm taking Al Sawadi at fucking minus 500 probably. You know what I'm saying? So maybe only in a 2-round fight though, but y'all see what I'm saying. Other things that I think kind of favor Shem in this matchup are some of Al Sawadi's tendencies. First of all, the defense. He dips his head a ton, leans his head when he's throwing. Dipping his head to the side constantly. And the best part of Shem's game on the feet is his kicks. Very nasty teep kicks, very fast. Will chop the low kick. Will mix in the head kick to kind of surprise you off of that teep kick. By far, the best part of his striking game. So I don't like that. I think, not only can he, hurt Al Sawadi up the middle to the body, I think, but them sneaky head kicks, man. I've seen Al Sawadi hit with head kicks before. Buzz, not necessarily rocked, but, I've seen that be a susceptibility. I've seen knees up the middle and attacks up the middle be a susceptibility because of his head placement and the way he defends. And, his head is either fucking dipping straight and looking like he's changing levels, feinting, or it's, throwing shots, dipping to either side. And that's head kick motherfucking central right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first tendency I don't love. Second one is, like we talked about already, moments versus minutes. Al Sawadi, great minute winner, like we talked about, but gives up a ton of moments. The Loic fight, his last fight 2 years ago, he's looking great in round one. He's fucking moving and looking all shifty and shit, kind of piecing Loic up. Loic looks kind of lost, first 2.5, 3 minutes of that fight. And then what happens, fucking seconds later, Loic rocks the fuck out of Sawadi, is on shaky legs the rest of the round and arguably loses that round, Credit to Al Sawadi, kind of recovered a bit and got back into that round last 45 seconds, but probably lost that round again based on moments and damage from getting knocked the fuck down pretty badly. The Hardwick fight, Dana White Contender Series is another example. He's piecing up Hardwick first couple minutes of the fight. Again, Hardwick looks absolutely lost, absolutely just can't handle his fucking movement and his speed from Al Sawadi. And then you blink, so Al Sawadi looking great first 2 or 3 minutes, and then you blink, and he's just easily letting Hardwick back in that round. Hardwick really starts picking up momentum round one. Starts moving forward, starts landing. He makes it a competitive round one. When you're clearly outclassing this guy first 2 or 3 minutes of the round. We've seen guys come back in fights. Fights that he's won. Like the Hardwick fight, we've seen guys come back in fights and knock Al Sawadi the fuck out on the regionals. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big problem. Winning minutes, letting up these moments like we talked about. Also, we mentioned the baby chin from Al Sawadi. Yes, fucking Shem is not a good striker. I'm not going to say the man barely even throws his hands. When he does, it's fucking ugly. It's mostly 1-2s and shit like that down the middle. So granted, yes, striking is bad, but this is a fight, man. This is a fight. Like, Shem is going to be throwing some hands, going to be throwing kicks, like I said. So if you got a baby chin, man, I mean, you're always liable to get chinned or get buzzed. And, again, we're in Shem's hometown, or home close enough. You know what I'm saying? We're in Shem's backyard. So if he buzzes Sawadi, the crowd's going to be going fucking nuts. It's definitely going to sway rounds. Like I said, Shem, I think, can hurt him to the body. We haven't seen too much evidence of this, of him being hurt to the body and things like that, but the body's definitely there for the taking, you know what I'm saying? Pause. And like I said, these teep kicks, I think, are going to find a home all fucking day. Club and sub, I think, is open because of those things, too. I think Shem is very, like, wiry and sneaky and opportunistic. We're going to talk about that in a second, too. So there may be a weird scrambles, and Shem kind of finds his back standing or against the cage and just locks a hook like they're standing, but Shem is all of a sudden on the back with one hook in, you know what I'm saying? Just weird shit like that. weird shit happens in almost every Al Sawadi fight. Whether it's him getting buzzed, whether it's him giving up goofy ass moments, guys taking his back, things like that. And those weird moments, weird fights, that shit favors Shem. A more technical fight, a pretty looking fight favors Al Sawadi. So yeah, man, Shem, like I said, very opportunistic, man. 11 finishes and 12 wins. He's very gritty, sneaky scrambler, gritty scrambler, and can secure those big moments, like I said. So also, Al Sawadi has a tendency to just start wrestling for no fucking reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll be dominating and striking. He's not gassed. He still looks fresh. And for whatever fucking reason, just, hey, let me shoot a takedown. That's not what you want versus a guy like Shem. You want to keep it standing for all 15 minutes if you can and absolutely destroy him on the fucking feet. But, like I said, these tendencies are really what I hate. Again, now we're getting to the shit that I like at plus money section is not really applicable anymore. In parentheses, I wrote too, especially versus a suspect guy like Al Sawadi. I'm not an Al Sawadi guy. I think, like I said at the top, he has skills, skilled guy. But I don't think he can put together 15 minutes, and I don't think he's that high IQ, and I don't think he's amazing at really anything. So, anyways, shit I like at plus money, not really plus money, but the characteristics still the same. Shem, very hard to finish. Who has more finishing equity in this fight? Is it, I don't know. I think it's at least, a conversation, a toss-up. We're going to talk about Shem's sub equity that I feel like he has. Shem can also push a pace deep in fights. We've seen, it's kind of a mixed bag. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what you get with the inactivity of Al Sawadi. I've seen Al Sawadi look good in round 3s, look good in round 4s. I've also seen him absolutely crumble in round 3s, like in the Loic fight. Looks pretty gassed, pretty sloppy, gets pieced the fuck up. And, one shot KO basically with some follow-up shots. Shem is going to be there all 3 rounds. The man can push a fucking pace. The man is going to be in your face. You got to give him that. As much as I don't like a lot about his game, you got to give him that. Opportunistic, like I said, which kind of lends into the sub equity that I think he has. We're going to check what the sub price is in a second, but you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a standing back take, whether it's, like I said, a hurting on the feet. Now we're grappling situation, whether it's Al Sawadi making mistakes, shooting when he shouldn't be shooting. You can't give an opportunistic guy like Shem those openings, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you have such an advantage on the feet. Shem has the grappling to take advantage of mistakes. Like I said, all it takes is one. It takes one fucking mistake. One mistake from Al Sawadi. And I know Shem for sure has a squeeze, man. We've seen it. And also the hometown, man. The hometown aspect, the robbery equity that we have. The crowd is going to go stupid anytime Shem does anything. He could throw a little fucking baby jab and then not even hit, and the crowd is going to go fucking berserk. So whether we like it or not, that shit sways judges, especially stupid ones, which are more common nowadays. It's also a buy low spot. Last thing I'll say is it's a buy low spot, man. The public, including myself, is really low on Shem. They think he's absolute garbage, not UFC level. Al Sawadi's gonna cruise. Shem striking is terrible. Just the perception is as low. I guess in the market is as low. Well, I guess not the market, because the market is pushing towards Shem. But public sentiment is as low as it can get on a guy like Shem. And I like kind of buying low on spots like that. So that's kind of my breakdown. I know it's long-winded. I might not even have any action in this fight. I'm definitely going to play Shem sub. I don't know if I'll just put that in a sub round robin or something like that I like doing. Or violence lotto or something like that. So Shem by submission plus 380. Like, it's not even the best number. When I was looking at it, it was like plus 450. Now it's plus 380. So I don't know about how much value that line has, if I'm being honest. Maybe a 2-3 sub. What is that? Because I think round 1 is going to be tough for Shem, for sure. Which might open up some live bet opportunities as well. So Shem 2-3 sub is plus 700. Not the worst thing in the world. Maybe play two sub. Why do I keep going back, man? I don't know if y'all can hear my kid in the background. Like, he's He's about 7 months old now, so he's getting to that point where he's like actually like like seeing shit. You know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but he's like so much more aware. He's actually playing with things. And he's a little like menace, just like his father. You know what I'm saying? So he gets loud and he be fucking shouting at the toys and shit now. It's hilarious, bro. All right, so Shem 2 sub is 12-1, 3 sub is 19-1. Yeah, I mean those are decent numbers. But yeah, man, that's the breakdown. Long-winded, but hopefully you guys got some value, man. I want to see what this line does. If we get more some buyback on Al Sawadi, then I'll take a stab on Shem. You know, if for some reason we get plus money, I'll take a half unit on Shem, man. I think he's a side personally. I'll definitely poke at the sub. You know, sub 2, sub 3. Lotto legs, you know, things like that. So I don't have like, do I have? Okay, so I don't have a graphic for this fight or anything like that. It's not a fight that I'm super interested in, but I want to talk about it. Louis Sutherland versus Brando Perisic or Pericic. One of those. I don't fucking know. This line is fascinating to me, man. Pericic minus 250. The comeback on Louis Sutherland plus 215. Like, what the fuck is this line, man? I don't get it at all. You know, you can make the argument, is Louis Sutherland UFC material? Probably not. You know, is Louis Sutherland good? You know, or like, oh my God, he's gonna make a run? Probably not. But what the fuck has what's the first name? Brando, right? I don't want to keep fucking saying, yeah, Brando. What has Brando done to warrant this price tag? Like, is he gonna knock Sutherland the fuck out inside of 5 minutes? Possibly, probably. You know, that's how he wins fights. That's his win equity, you know. But this line is absurd, man. Contender Series fight. We'll look at it together, or not together. I don't have it on screen, but like, let's look at his resume. So, Contender Series fight. Oh no, not Contender Series. Sorry, he was supposed to fight on Contender Series. Instead, short notice fight versus Ellison. Who the fuck is that guy? Knocks him out inside of 2 minutes. That guy stinks. With all due respect, when I don't like disrespecting fighters. When I say they stink or whatever, it's just compared to other UFC athletes. So doesn't show me anything. You know what I'm saying? The fight before that. So we're talking about 2 fights ago. This is November 2024. So that's like a year and a half ago. 2 fights ago. So it was this fight and then his UFC debut where he knocks the guy out in 2 minutes. I want y'all to go watch that fight. It's on YouTube. I want y'all to go watch that fight. Supremacy Fighting Championship. Knocks the guy out in 1:10. The guy was making his pro debut. He looked like they just plucked him from the fucking crowd that same day. He's like, yo, you want a quick like 1,000 fucking pesos or fucking euros, whatever the fuck? He's like, yeah, fuck it. And he just took his shirt off. Like, complete out of shape, small, no business being in there. Absolutely no business being in there. And that was the fight. That was Brando's fight before fucking his UFC debut. I just don't get it, man. I really don't get it. One of the only times we've seen him extend it past round 1, he was death gassed and got rear naked choked in round 2. I don't understand it. So he's one of these guys that as soon as the bell rings, opening around 1, he's going to shoot across the octagon, throw lunch boxes at your face, and try to get you out of there in 5 minutes. Can he do that in this fight? Absolutely, man. He's a big favorite. You know, KO1. What is that? So, Perisic. I should just put up FanDuel on my fucking computer, right? That would be like the smart. That would be the smart thing to do. So, UFC fights. Method of victory. So, Brandao KO1 is plus 290. That's actually a pretty good price. I thought it was way worse than that. That's actually a pretty good price. But yeah, that's how he wins this fight. That's how he wins this fight. What Louis does so well is kind of just staying in fights for some reason, for whatever fucking reason. Louis yet to be finished in 14 pro fights. I think in the heavyweight division, I know there's a lot of. Oh no, sorry, he got subbed last time out. Excuse me, he got subbed last time out, but never been finished. The film, I haven't watched every single one of his fights, but the film that I've watched hasn't really been hurt too fucking bad, on the feet. So I know a lot of these guys are going to be extremely low level that he's fighting, especially heavyweights in the regionals. But still, it's heavyweight. Guys are swinging and banging. Never been finished. And Louis kind of almost the exact opposite. Almost a point fighting style at heavyweight. So interesting clash of styles. That super aggressive heavyweight versus a more patient, more point fighting kind of heavyweight. But if this fight sees round 2, I don't know who the fuck is going to win this fight. And then you're going to have a Brandao minus 250 ticket in your pocket. Like, I really want to bet Louis, man. I really want to bet Louis, but I can't fade shit with shit. That's an expression. I'm not calling these guys shit. I just don't think Louis has enough. Like, even if Brandao gives Louis this fight, I don't know if I could trust Louis to take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I like this as a live bet angle, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you can get plus 200 around that price right now with Louis at 215 around there. But like he's gonna get beat up in round 1. Can he survive the storm? If he cannot, I'm gonna hit the live button. I'm gonna hit him live. We might get plus 500, plus 600, after 3 or 4 minutes. And I do not trust Brandao at all outside of 5 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was more than one time that I've seen him borderline death gassing. Let's look at the resume. No, it had to only be that one time. I did watch the Shuriken fight. That's his second pro fight versus Kelvin Fitayal. He was like a big ass Hawaiian, but very low level fight. Obviously second pro fight, but even in that fight went 3.5 minutes. Even in that fight, Brandao, not a clean performance versus a guy who's probably shouldn't even be a pro fighter. He was already huffing and puffing because he had an ounce of adversity. All these other fights, minute 10, minute 55, 17 seconds, a minute and a half. There's zero adversity. That's you darting across the cage and knocking the guy the fuck out. So, Louis pretty good with the movement. It's a big octagon. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm saying it, but I'm not saying it. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to wait for a live angle. If he dies in round 1, cool. I don't lose my money. But I want to wait 3 or 4 minutes into round 1 and get me a juicy ass live line and watch Brandao death gas. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Next fight is Montas. Oh fucking god, Montas Condratavicius. We're gonna call him Montas, okay? Versus pro poker player Antonio Tricoli. As you can see, pro poker player. Don't fuck with him on the felt, okay? In the octagon, fuck with him. On the poker table, do not fuck with him, okay? Just so you know. I'm gonna keep it simple. These next two, I only made graphics. Did I make a graphic on the fucking? I did make a Pinto graphic. These two are going to be extremely quick. Antonio Tricoli, with all due respect, I don't think is a pro fighter, at least not at the UFC level. His whole personality now, whether it's social media, what he talks about in interviews, is his poker career. He is a pretty good poker player at that. Spends a lot of time doing that. That's not what you want, as a betting man, looking to back a pro fighter. We don't want you. I don't want you on the fucking grinding the 5-10s, at your local casinos instead of fucking training. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he's just, fighting to fight. At the end of the day, he is a fighter, no disrespect. But I think he's just getting in there. Listen, let me go at it, probably get finished within 10 minutes and get my fucking check, 25, 50K, whatever it is. Probably not 50K. He's probably not getting 50K. But Let me get my 20, 25K, whatever, so I could fucking go blow it at the fucking poker tables. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty simple. And he's fighting an absolute savage, in my opinion. I don't know what the ceiling is for Matas in the UFC. I think he has a lot still to prove. Again, only 9 pro fights. I think he has a lot of rounding out to do with his game. This is not a fight that's going to give him any fucking trouble. So, I wish I would have got to the line. You know, the under 1.5 was like minus 180, minus 190. Obviously, I wish I got to that. The under 1.5 right now is like minus 250, minus 260. I still absolutely love that. If Montas does not kill him inside of 5 minutes, I think he's gonna take personal offense to that, and I think once the second round starts, I think he's gonna be shot out of a fucking cannon wanting to destroy this motherfucker. So I don't think it sees round 2 personally, but yeah, I really like the under 1.5. You know, kind of covers. You know, if we get, I'm looking at FanDuel right now, so switch fights. If we do, so Montas round 1 KO is plus 130. What's just the round 1 minus 135? So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's really a bad price. It looks disgusting, you know. Plus 130 for a round 1 KO, like that's crazy. Yes, it is kind of disgusting, but at the end of the day, the dude's minus 750. You know, minus 800, so you're getting some plus money out of it, and I think that is by far the most likely outcome in this fight. Tricoli is not a fan of getting hit at all. You know what I'm saying? He's not. We've seen him just completely not want to get hit and just absolutely give up the sub. He's like, listen, take the fucking sub, get me out of here so I can go back to the fucking, you know, the Harrah's or Hard Rock Casino, whatever the fuck. Get me out of here. Get me to the MGM. You know what I'm saying? Like, he does not eat shots well. He does not deal with pressure well. So part of me like doesn't want to play, you know, the round 1 KO in case just some fuck shit happens, and you know, I don't know. I've seen it all with this fight shit. You know, Montas does have two subs on his ledger. He did get sub once, but if Montas is capable enough on the mat, you know, not saying he's good or anything like that, but he's capable enough on the mat that if Antonio gives him the sub, Montas is going to take it. You know what I'm saying? But I think he knocks him the fuck out inside of 5 minutes. Pretty simple. So I'm going to parlay the under. I know it's gross. It's fucking gross. I'm going to parlay the under 1.5 with this next fight, which is Mario Pinto versus Felipe Franco. I did Pinto a severe disservice with these graphics, man. Like, how fucking dare me? This makes it look like, these graphics make it look like Felipe to minus 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at that guy. Look at that guy. All the supplements. I'll keep this one short too. Pinto is UFC level. I don't know why I just had to fucking put a B in there. Is UFC level. I just fucking did it again. What the fuck? Let me take a sip of water, bro. Holy shit. Mario Pinto is UFC level. I think he's going to pick up, as he already has, multiple wins in the UFC. Felipe is nowhere near that. Felipe just got out-cardioed, out-dogged, outlasted by a fucking part-time school teacher. No disrespect. No disrespect. That fight was one of the worst fights in Contender Series history. Both guys were death gas after 5 minutes. And not only did Franco didn't lose a decision to him. Franco didn't lose a split to him. Franco got fucking finished in round 3 by Vidal. Like, one of the most pathetic fucking things I've ever seen, with all due respect, coming from an absolute nobody. It was terrible fucking scenes. Mario Pinto is going to win this fight. Mario Pinto is going to win this fight inside the distance. So I was hoping that I can get a somewhat decent price, minus 600, something like that, on Pinto. Those days are long gone. So I'm going to find a way. I'm going to pair the under 1.5 in the Montas fight with either Pinto money line. Like, what would that get? Let's see what that'll give me. Let's do it live. I don't want to leave you guys half-assed. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so if we do under 1.5 in the Montas fight and we do Mario Pinto money line, That's minus 180. So it buys you like 70-cent juice on that under. You know what I'm saying? Because again, free squares don't exist in fighting. It's a fight. But Mario Pinto is a fucking free square. So if we go so Montas under 1.5, right? And then if we go Pinto ITD, that's another thing too. Y'all keep sleeping, man. Pinto kind of showed what he was about last fight. Pinto showed what he was about last fight against Jonathan Denise. Say what you want about Denise. Denise is skilled, man. Belongs in the UFC. He's shown that. And the fight IQ, the ability to stick to a game plan and consistently wrestle and dominate the fight with your wrestling and grappling, that was very impressive to me. You know what I'm saying? So Pinto continuing to improve, continuing to show his well-roundedness. I think that's the sneaky play too. You know, Felipe just got absolutely worked in the grappling by part-time school teacher, like we talked about. You know, Pinto by sub, you know, books are kind of all over it too. Pinto by sub plus 380. So it's not like they're saying, it's not like the books are saying it's, you know, unlikely. You know, the books are telling you it's very likely. So Pinto ITD. So if you do under 1.5 Pinto ITD, it brings it down to minus 130. So instead of minus 180, it's minus 130. This is where I always fuck up. You know, getting too greedy. Do I get too greedy, play ITD, and then get punished somehow? And somehow this fight goes to decision? Or do I play just Pinto and sacrifice the 50 cents? And then he finishes him in 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever. It's going to be one of those two. Same thing, different deal. I like the value on Montas round 1. I do like that. You know, obviously Pinto ITD can't play straight or anything like that. Pinto by sub, I think is very sneaky. You know, not sneaky, but I think that price has value. You know, I think everybody's going to see what I just fucking told you. Round 1, round 2 sub plus 450. I don't mind that as well. I don't think we see a round 3 at all. So, yeah, man, 2 fights. We'll just go through them quick. Parlay pieces. I think these fights will get us paid easily. So, call it square, whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. Because if the tickets are cash, and that's all that matters. So, again, it is about finding value, though. You know, so even at a minus 180, if you're getting under 1.5 Pinto, I'd much rather the ITD. But even at that 180 price, I think there's a lot of value in that, personally. So, moving on to a much better fight. Excited to talk about this fight. Arguably the fight of the night. Nathaniel Wood, in his hometown, going against the newcomer Losini Kita. Kita making his UFC debut after the Pitbull fight fell out. Pitbull didn't want to accept the fight after Keita missed weight by a couple of pounds, completely within his right. But now, you know, we get a different matchup and the long-awaited debut of Losini Keita. Sizable favorite, minus 235. Comeback on Nathaniel Wood is plus 190. This is a fascinating fight, man. It really is. I've kind of been back and forth in this fight. On one end, I think Nathaniel Wood is way too skilled of a fighter to be in his price range. Versus a newcomer, versus a guy that, yes, he's shown to be extremely dangerous, but still a guy making his UFC debut, you know? So, in his hometown, in London, you know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot to like on Nathaniel Wood's side. Nathaniel Wood is kind of being priced like a bum. And Nathaniel Wood is far from a bum. Nathaniel Wood is extremely skilled striker. Very, very technical, very fast, lightning quick. Can mix it up extremely well on the feet. Kicks, elbows, knees up the middle. Attacks to all 3 levels. Extremely skilled, man. Very well-rounded. Good grappler, good wrestler. That can get him in trouble. Sometimes he can be a little too overconfident in the grappling with that are grapplers, but yeah, man, extremely fucking skilled. Extremely skilled. So that's kind of where I started the week at. You know, like, wow, this price is fucking crazy. Especially in London. You know, Nathaniel Wood is fucking good, man. He's good, bro. He's good. He's very, very good. So it's like, why would I want to fade that at a minus 2xx price tag? You know, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Then I watched the tape, and obviously you reassess something. The week goes by. The books know everything that I just told you. The books, the books know that. The books know how good Nathaniel Wood is. The books know that we're in London. You know what I'm saying? They know all of these things. Yet on Bet Online, Nathaniel Wood open -110. That's not a real opener. That's what the fucking frauds would track. But whatever. Plus he's plus 140 Bet Online, right? Then plus 150. This is like March. This is March 7th, March 8th, so a couple weeks ago. Then creeping, right? Still about a week later, -145. Now -165, -190. I'm sorry, plus 145, plus 165, plus 185, plus 200. Now plus 225 on Bet Online. So very, very steady steam on the Keita side. So the market's kind of making a stance, putting their flag, planting their fucking flag. Where did this open on domestic? So, Keita is up to -275 on DraftKings. DraftKings, he opened -180 on March 10th. I'm not quite sure if that's the opener itself, because that's only 10 days ago. So I don't know. Not exactly sure if that's the opener, but -180 for a couple days, then shooting down -185, -200, -215, all the way to, like I said, right now, -275 on DraftKings. So I don't know. I said everything about the Wood side. On the Keita side, also very, very skilled, man. Maybe not quite as technical as a guy like Nathaniel Wood, but certainly more powerful, certainly more physical, really fucking big for the featherweight division. And of course Nathaniel Wood coming up from 35, now at 45, filled into 45 really, really well. So I'll give him that. But Keita, huge for the division, very, very strong, very powerful, true knockout power at featherweight, which can be rare. Just a freak, man. Freak athlete, specimen, extremely dangerous. So that's what makes it so fascinating, in my opinion. On one side, you got the extremely clean, lightning quick, extremely technical, extremely well-rounded guy versus a fucking, just a boulder, you know what I'm saying? Just a physical, athletic freak with power in both hands that can change a fight with one shot, you know what I'm saying? And that is what concerns me in this fight. I just have a feeling, a little tingle where it counts, that Nathaniel Wood's baby chin is finally gonna, the rubber meets the motherfucking road. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know how logical it is. I think it's logical. Obviously, I know why I think this, but maybe I don't know how likely it is or whatever I want to say. I just have a sneaking suspicion that Keita deads Wood inside of 10 minutes, man. I know that might be a hot take or whatever the case is, but the books are kind of onto it. If we go to, these lines probably change because Keita's getting more juiced. Yeah, like Keita by KO is plus 155. So books are telling you that it's closer to 50-50 than it is to not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. What's Keita 1-2? Keita 1-2 KO plus 230. So nothing crazy. Yeah, man. It's a fascinating fight. Fascinating matchmaking. The Pitbull fight, I was more kind of gun-ho. You know what I'm saying? I was way more assertive on the Keita side. I'm like, Keita's going to knock Pitbull the fuck out, I think, or finish him, I was very confident in that. Now it's like, yes, on one end, I don't want to disrespect Nathaniel Wood. I don't want to do that. Like I said, very skilled fighter, gave him his flowers. But Keita's a beast, man. Keita's a fucking beast. So the pick is going to be Keita. I think Keita can implement some wrestling grappling in this match too. Like maybe it'll lead to some scrambles that maybe Wood wins, but it's just another thing for Wood to think about. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to think about these fucking heat-seeking missiles coming at your head. Now you got to worry about, is he going to continue to mix it up, So yeah, man, I know it's in London, and if we go to decision, even if I think Keita wins, I'm gonna be sweating, but I don't think we go to decision. I don't. I don't think we go to decision. So I like under 2.5 is plus money. Fight doesn't go. You can get really cheap -110, -115. I don't know if that's the play, but how much finishing equity does Nathaniel Wood have? Nathaniel Wood has not, you know, shown off his finishing equity at the UFC level or his finishing ability at the UFC level. On the regionals, I think it was Cage Warriors. On the regionals, he was deading guys left and right. Had a hard time going to the cards. Now it's just the finishing instinct. I don't think it's quite there. He's not the most powerful guy moving up to 45. That's another thing, man. I think Keita has just a lot more killer instinct and more finishing equity in a fight like this. So, Keita by KO is, what do we say? Plus 155, right? Keita ITD is plus 120. If I can get a -110 or -115 on just fight doesn't go for, a couple more cents, I'm going to play that. But again, there's risk in that too, because, that's why I looked at Keita KO or points is -200. So a discount now because he's getting to -250, -275. But yeah, man, I don't want to be fucked out of decision equity that I think he has. Maybe it's a close fight, but Keita wins the moments, knocks Nathaniel Wood down once, maybe twice, lands the much bigger power shots, wins the 29-28, and I get fucked because I'm banking on violence, So I'd rather play with the plus money. I don't want to just dive all the way into the gut feeling and put all value hunting to the side. But that's where I'm at, man. The pick is Keita. I think Keita wins this fight. I think he has a successful UFC debut. And I think he finishes Nathaniel Wood, man. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to play it yet, but those are my thoughts on the fight. Do with it what you will. Can easily be fight of the night, though. I'm extremely excited to watch this fight. Next fight. Mason Jones versus Axel Sola. Mason Jones, decent size favorite, -135. Come back on Axel plus 120. So this line has kind of been a little jumpy here and there too. Now we're starting to see some just like some other fights we talked about, some very slow, very steady steam towards the Mason Jones side. I haven't been checking the chat at all either. That's completely my fucking fault. But so nothing in the Twitter, in the YouTube chat. Let me know what you guys are thinking about. We got a handful of people watching on YouTube. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you like it. Subscribe to the channel. Tell me what your best bets are. What's your favorite fight? Would love to hear from you guys. On Twitter, live chat, I don't see it. I can't see it. I do see something. Peter De Palma, what you think of Man of the Library? We are not talking about that fucking little rat on this stream. Fuck him. That's what I think about him. Fucking fraud. Piece of shit. Anyways. So, Mason Jones, Axel Sola. I like Mason Jones in this matchup. Again, missed the best of the price. Not very fond of that. Don't like that at all. But I think Mason has a lot of things that I like in a matchup like this. Axel Sola is getting a lot of fucking hype right now from the public, and the UFC seems to be really, really into this guy based off promotional things and stuff like that. Pretty good spot on the card. On a huge UFC London card. So, yeah, I mean, public sentiment and just the hype seems to be kind of outweighing at this point the substance that Axel brings to the cage. I think Axel's a good fighter. Kind of that karate stance, wide base stance. Good straight shots down the middle, can put combinations together. power in both hands. Good kicking game, pretty well rounded too. Can definitely mix in the offensive wrestling, grappling when needed. Pretty good takedown defense from what I've seen. So he's a good fighter, man. He's a good fighter. But Mason Jones, I think, has the tool bag. I would say it, the tool bag to deal with a guy like Axel. First of all, again, we're in London. Crowd is going to be going absolutely insane for Mason Jones. So same as some other fighters we talked about, we do have that hometown equity, that robbery equity, that fight swing or round swaying oohs and ahs equity, if you will. So there's that. The Axel Sola, I want to look at his resume because this is the last fight that I taped, so I want to make sure I'm getting all the names right and shit like that. So let's go Sola. So, yeah, like I said, I think it's a lot more hype than substance. All of those positive things, all those green flags that I talked about, I feel like just as many red flags. First of all, completely unproven. You know what I'm saying? I think he had a fairly extensive amateur background. So, 12 pro fights, that's nothing to scoff at. It's not like you're coming in with 5 or 6 pro fights, but relatively unproven. Completely unproven at the UFC level. Take what you want of the Reese McKee fight. There are some positives in that fight. To get a round 3 KO, to come back from some type of adversity. That was not a clean fight on the Axel Sola side. You know what I'm saying? Reese McKee is a guy that if you're being hyped up this much and you have all these amazing qualities, Reese McKee is a guy you should steamroll. I know Reese brings some size and some danger, BJJ, things like that, but he's a guy that you should absolutely fucking steamroll. And that was, he's going life and death with Reese McKee. Borderline. I don't want to say fully life and death, but borderline life and death with Reese McKee. You can argue that fight was 1-1 going into 3. So, I tip my cap, shout out to you, the fight that might be 1-1, finding the finish in round 3, but he did not look great in that fight. He caught McKee on the feet in round 3, but he was not looking amazing, in my opinion. It looked like he was majorly slowing down at the end of round 2, beginning of round 3. And I personally have seen that before. We've seen him in 5-round fights. The fight before his UFC debut, Aries FC, that's been where he was at for a long time. Against this guy, Odella, however the fuck you say it, first minute of the fight gets fucking rocked. Gets absolutely rocked. Dropped. The whole rest of the round was on shaky legs. Shaky ass legs. Got buzzed another time in that round. So gets knocked down. You get back up. You survive. Cool. You're on shaky legs the rest of the round. Get buzzed again in that round. By a guy that I don't think is on Mason Jones' level. In fact, I know he's not on Mason Jones' level. You know what I'm saying? He's had sketchy moments before. He's had moments where, again, this is not a 5-round fight, but in 5-round fights, round 3, middle to end of round 3, he's looking more shaky cardio-wise. Not death gassing by any means. The guy has a tank, but definitely slowing down. Mason Jones is not going to do that. Mason Jones is going to not fuck off, be in your face for all 15 minutes that this fight lasts. So, I've also seen Axel out-wrestled and out-grappled. I think that's another path for Mason Jones. So, like I said, Axel can wrestle and grapple, not at the level of a Mason Jones, in my opinion. I've seen guys way lower level in the wrestling grapplers than Mason Jones, finding Axel's hips, taking him down, consolidating position. So whether it's Mason, taking him down, really not controlling him that much, maybe threatening something here and there, you're giving Sola something to think about. You're working at the gas tank. You're making him a lot more hesitant on the feet. I've seen switches flip quickly in Sola fights. I've seen him pressure the whole first round, and then back half of round 2, he's the one getting pressure. He's the one circling. And you cannot give those opportunities to Mason Jones. Every inch that you give to Mason Jones, he will take. He will continue to pressure you and be in your face. Way more proven in terms of level of competition. Way more proven in the UFC. Way more proven, I think, toughness and durability at this level. That's the one major knock on Mason Jones. His defense is dog shit. Head movement is completely non-existent. Way more focused on offense than any type of defense. He's moving forward like a pit bull, wanting to get in your face. Not really too worried about defending his fucking, his consciousness. But with that said, I know this is a very dangerous thing. Because you don't want to be relying on toughness too much. You don't want to go a whole UFC career relying on toughness because you're going to get knocked the fuck out eventually. But 19 pro fights has yet to be finished. You know what I'm saying? Only 30 years old. So he's not on the back end of his career by any fucking means. You know what I'm saying? So who has more finishing equity in this fight? I think it's Mason Jones. I think Mason Jones maybe finding the back, locking something in, catching him on the feet. We've seen it not only in his fight before his UFC debut. I've seen it multiple times. Or Sola getting rocked on the feet. So I think Mason Jones has more finishing equity, way better strength of schedule, way more proven at the UFC level, better, more put together 15-minute cardio, I would say, especially at this level. Another thing is that Sola fought his UFC debut at 70s. Now you're cutting back down to 55. I've watched him fight. Again, his main base has been at 55, but he's fought several times at 70. When I'm watching him go deep into fights at 55, looks a lot different than at 70. It looks like it eats away at the gas tank a little bit more. That's pretty common. But UFC debut on short notice at 70. Now you're fighting a guy way better, way upper level than a guy like Reese McKee, and you're being forced to once again drop down to 55. So, I think that can only hinder the gas tank. I don't think that's going to help the gas tank too much. So all of these advantages, we're being asked to lay a little bit of juice on the favorite side. I'm not really sure in terms of props. I can see Mason Jones winning a 29-28. I can see Mason Jones finishing this guy, submitting this guy. I could see Mason Jones winning the decision in a fight that he didn't win because of where we're at. So we have all of this equity being asked to lay a moderate favorite price. I like that side. It also seems like it's kind of dog of the week material. You know what I'm saying? At first it was kind of Shem, but I feel like as the week has progressed, a lot of people are falling in love with this Axel Sola guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, the hype I think is surpassing the substance in his game. So I think Mason has way too many advantages in this fight. If he doesn't he's going to get touched on the feet. You know what I'm saying? If he does not die, within 10 minutes of this fight, I think he wins this fight. So way more decision equity in my opinion, more finish equity, tougher, more put together cardio, more proven, in his hometown. So, yeah, man. Mason Jones is a tough guy to beat, man. He's a tough guy to fucking beat. So, if Axel comes in and proves it to me, that you can beat what's a giant step up in competition, then I tip my cap, man. Then I'm just wrong, and I tip my cap. So, another very interesting fight, man. It's going to be a banger nonetheless. Back-to-back absolute fucking bangers. You got to love it. Got to love it. So, we got a lot of fights still to go over, so I'm going to try to be a little bit fucking less long-winded than I have been, just so we can get through this. Next fight on the card, Danny Silva versus Pink Panther, Curtis Campbell. Curtis Campbell coming in sizable favorite, minus 230. Danny Silva come back on him, plus 195. I'm dog hunting here, man. I'm dog hunting here. This is an easy click for me. I'm going to bet Danny Silva. I'm staring at plus 200. I'm going to bet that. I like Danny Silva plus 200 money line. I like Danny Silva plus 3.5 on DraftKings. Let me see what that price is. And listen, this is another spot where if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If Curtis is just the truth and Curtis can, again, same as the last fight, show that he can handle what's a major step up in competition, then I'll tip my cap, man. But at these prices, much different than Mason Jones too, obviously, is plus 200. You got to be right way less of the time, at these odds to be profitable. And that's what I'm banking on. Plus 3.5, minus 130 on DraftKings. So I'm going to play the plus 3.5. I'm going to play Danny Silva money line. I'm going to play Danny Silva decision. What's that at? Danny Silva by points, plus 450. Love that price. I'm going to play all of those things. This is another fight where, again, the books may just have my number and I may be walking into it, but kind of being priced like he's a bum. And Danny Silva is far from a bum. Danny Silva is the epitome of dogs that I want to have my money on. The epitome of dog shots. You know, guys that are going to fight for your money. And like I said, you got to be right a lot less of the time to be profitable over a long stretch of time. You know what I'm saying? I just don't agree with this pricing. Curtis, hard to deal with, man. Hard to deal with. Good cardio, good wrestling, good grappling, good control. Very hard to deal with. I'm not saying he's a bum. Neither one of these guys are a bum. It's just the problem is that one guy is being priced like a bum. You know what I'm saying? Danny Silva, way more proven at the UFC level. More pro experience. Great cardio, great toughness and durability. Going to be the much, much, much better striker. I've heard takes this week, you know, people like praising Curtis's striking. I don't agree with that at all. Does he have a good kicking game? Yes, absolutely. You know, kind of uses the long range kicks to kind of close distance and get to what his bread and butter is, which is I want to get a hold of you, you know, wrap my arms around you, drag you to the fucking ground, and try to choke you the fuck out. You know, Danny Silva is not a scrub anywhere this fight goes. Danny Silva, really good takedown defense, especially up against the cage. Danny Silva, pit bull on his back. You know what I'm saying? Really good get-up game. Good tenacity. Is not going to just accept positions. And again, these are all things that we love at this price range. You know, I know we're in Curtis Campbell's backyard. You know, we've mentioned this a lot of times. So Curtis does have that robbery / close decision equity in his backyard. But again, way different situation, way different price range. You know, Danny Silva, just alone, him being the better striker. Excuse me. Excuse me, chat. If all you told me was that Danny Silva's the better striker, I probably still play plus 200. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many more things. Like I said, you know, the tenacity, the ability to fight and compete wherever this fight goes. You know, this is not a case if Danny Silva's on his back, the fight is over. This is not that case at all. I think this fight is egregiously mispriced. Again, I'm okay looking wrong. I go live in front of people, you know, every week. I'm okay putting myself out there and being wrong. I may be wrong. I may be wrong several times on this card. But this is disrespectful. It's disrespectful. So don't know what this is. Curtis Campbell got to show me. I don't think Curtis Campbell is upper echelon elite level fighter. I don't think of him in that light just yet. He could prove it to me. He could shut me the fuck up. As of right now, I don't think that. And that's the way he's being priced. So give me Danny Silva all fucking day, man. Absolute junkyard dog. You know, we just saw what happened last week. Kevin Vallejos caught a motherfucking body last week. How scary does Kevin Vallejos look right now for the rest of the division? How fucking scary does he look? You know, Danny Silva was in there with Kevin Vallejos, albeit in a loss. I get it, in a loss. Took down Kevin Vallejos. Went the full 15 minutes, gave Kevin Vallejos everything that he can fucking handle. You know? And now, different stylistic matchup, but a step down nonetheless, in my opinion. So, and getting priced like this. So, yeah, man, yeah. It's Danny Silva for me, pretty easy clicks. You know, so I'm going to be on, like I said, plus 3.5. Danny Silva money line, Danny Silva by decision. I love all of those things. Love it a lot. Next fight. I don't have any graphics for it or anything. I don't have too much interest. Roman Dolidze versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Duncan is a massive favorite, minus 450, minus 500. I think COD wins this fight. I can't trust COD at these price ranges. He's way too much of an idiot. In my opinion. Yeah, I'm streaming right now. I'll call you back. Yeah, he's definitely putting that together. He's definitely fixing that, you know. And I think what's his last fight? What's the Brazilian's name? Tulio. I think he showed that, man. Mixing takedowns, the fight IQ seemed to be on point. When the finish was there, he damn sure took that shit. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he's patching that up. The Eric Anders fight was beautiful as well. But yeah, man, I just don't trust him quite yet at these price ranges. So Props wise, I don't really know either. I can see him winning a decision versus Roman, who's been historically tough. I know Fluffy didn't make him look tough, but Roman has been tough historically throughout his career. What's Christian by point? Yeah, so Christian by decision plus 155, almost the same as his KO, which I think is telling. So yeah, man, I just don't know. I could definitely see him finishing him for sure. Can definitely see him KOing him. Can see him winning the decision. So, I'm not gonna parlay COD. I might regret that. He may make this look extremely easy, but yeah, man, not interested too much. But COD wins. That's the pick. Next fight, Iwo Baranuski versus Austin Lane. Austin Lane dropping down to 205. Obviously, made weight without a problem. Interesting fight. Iwo's coming off one of the fights of the year. Happened late in 2025, or at least rounds of the year, man. It only lasted a minute and a half, but holy shit. Go watch that. If you need some entertainment for a minute and a half, for 90 seconds, go watch that fight. It's an amazing fight, don't get me wrong, but I think people are praising Iwo way too much, off a fight like that. He went life and death with Ibo Aslan. In another universe, different ref maybe, Ibo wins that fight by knocking out Iwo, in 30 seconds. So Iwo is a bowling ball. Iwo is just a wrecking ball. You know what I'm saying? Power both hands. Little short, stocky fire hydrant, and it's going to come in and swing and motherfucking bang, until you fall or he falls. So, yes, I get it. It's Austin Lane. Austin Lane is not good. Probably going to be done with the promotion after this fight. I understand that. But Iwo at these prices, I'm good, Huge size advantage, too, for Austin Lane. I don't think he has lay and pray equity. I think Iwo has shown the ability to fend off takedowns, to work his way back up. But I didn't think that about fucking Robelis de Spain either. Obviously, I was dead wrong, and Robelis is maybe a different story. But yeah, man, I'm just not interested. Off a fight like that, like everybody's sucking him off, and he's like a god and shit. He's a very, very exciting fighter. I don't want to lay minus fucking, what is it? Yeah, I don't want to lay minus 600 with exciting fighters. I'm good on that. I'm good. And it's like, where's the value? If you think Iwo's going to knock him out at round one, okay, it's minus money. It's just no value in my opinion. So, like, I see people playing, Iwo round one, round two, and parlaying it. Like, that's minus 350. Like, is it going to hit? Yeah, probably. But no, I think there's very, very little value in this fight. Dog or pass. I hate to say it, but dog or pass. Next fight is one I have a lot of interest in. Feature bout of the evening, welterweight division. Michael Venom Page versus Sam Patterson. Michael Venom Page, favorite, minus 180. Comeback on Sam Patterson, plus 160. This line's been also jumping everywhere, so I want to see what the line currently is. Yeah, so about the same. It's line has been interesting. Line is, you can get minus 175, but yeah, minus 180 is the more widely available price. We saw Michael Venom Page minus 200, minus 210. Then he was slowly coming down, minus 200, minus 190, minus 180. Yesterday he was creeping around the minus 160, minus 165 mark, and now we've seen more buyback on the Venom Page side. Yeah, this may be hot take of the week, man. I like Sam Patterson in this fight. Sam Patterson money line plus 160, best available. I think I'm gonna wait personally. MVP, hometown guy, way more recognizable name. The public is gonna eat it all up. I think is gonna parlay the fuck out of MVP, and I personally think, unless we see more reverse line movement, we'll talk about that in a second. I personally think I get a better price on Sam. I'm willing to take the risk and go to sleep and wake up to plus 180, plus 190, because I think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, I like Sam, man. Everybody and their mother is talking about this fight as if it already happened. Oh, easy. Like, what is this fight even being made for? Easy work for MVP. Easy work. Like they already watched the fight. And I think it's a lot more complicated than that. I think it's a lot more layers to peel on this fight, in my opinion. And yeah, I like the plus money. I love being on island. So, call me stupid in the comments. I will be petty and out you later on though. But yeah, I'm okay. Hot take of the week. I'm perfectly fine with that. I like Sam Moneyline. I like Sam by sub. What is that now? Sam by submission plus 440. It's okay. Sam Patterson by points plus 650. Sam Patterson by split. I'll look that up in a second too. My man George in the YouTube chat. Yo, Finesse falling when I go, boys. Not much available on takedown defense for Campbell. Silva over half a takedown at plus 175. Any value there? I don't think so, my brother. I don't really think so. I don't think that's going to be the game plan for Danny Silva. I wouldn't be shocked if we go to decision and he does not shoot one takedown at all. So I would want a much, much better price. Like, I definitely want north of plus 200. Maybe the book know something that I don't. But yeah, I don't love it too much, if I'm being honest, my brother. But appreciate you watching. Appreciate you for asking. Love the questions. Shout out to you, my brother. So yeah, Sam Patterson by points, Sam Patterson by split. Love all of those things. Getting into the matchup. First of all, like I said, public sentiment is like this fight already happened. Everybody is on MVP. Everybody. Sharps, squares, everything in between. Everybody's on MVP. And I'm looking at that, and like I said a couple days ago, this line was moving the other way. MVP was down to minus 160, minus 165. There has been some comeback since then, but that reverse line movement I think was very telling. More stylistically now, MVP moving back down to 70. Was kind of back and forth, 70, 85, 70. Now back at 70. About to be 39 years old, basically already 39 years old. That shit is only going to become tougher and tougher. You know what I'm saying? MVP hasn't really had too much of an issue with size or cardio or anything like that. But again, it's going to become tougher when you're 39 years old, this late in your career, taking a fight that, public thinks, oh, why are you even fucking taking it? You probably think this too. He talked about it too. Like, oh, I expected a different scenario. He's talked about this fight a lot because these two guys have trained together a bunch before. So he's talked a lot about Sam, a lot about this matchup and things like that. Maybe he just views it as an easy dub, but he's come out and said like, oh, I expected way different, way different level of opponent. And all I've really heard him talking about is kind of overlooking Sam. Maybe he feels like the training room shit matters, and maybe he down. I don't know. Nobody knows but them. But so coming back down to 70s versus a guy that you probably think you shouldn't be fighting, kind of overlooking. I don't love all of those things. MVP also, at these odds, when has MVP been, or at least at the UFC level, reliable to pull away, to put volume on guys, to really put a stamp on victories? You know what I'm saying? I bet him versus Jared Cannonier, and I was kind of sweating, man. I was kind of sweating, bro. Like, Cannonier got some takedowns, kind of leveled the playing field. I know MVP rocked him bad in that fight, but 3-round fight, 29 significant strikes. Against Shara Bullet, won that fight, good win, 43 significant strikes. Lost to Ian Gary, only landed 21 significant strikes. Probably should have got submitted in that fight. I don't know how the fuck Ian Gary did not finish that rear naked. Kevin Holland, another kind of back and forth fight. MVP clearly wins, but kind of back and forth fight, 41 significant strikes. MVP is we know what MVP is. Fast, technical, point fighting, karate type of style. I'm going to look pretty, wow the judges, and try to absolutely shut down your offense. But those are very thin margins, man. Those are very, very thin margins. I think MVP has to continue to fight perfect fights. The Jared Cannonier fight was not a perfect fight. Like I said, got taken down twice. How much control time was there? Jared Cannonier had 8 minutes of control time in that fight. 8 fucking minutes. Jared Cannonier. 8 minutes of control time in that fight. Not a perfect fight. Still won. Credit to him. Shara was a cleaner performance, I would say. But now you got a guy in Sam Patterson, similar to Kevin Holland. Like, how tall do they have Kevin Holland listed at? 6'3", yeah. So similar to the Holland fight, right? But now completely different matchup than a guy like Kevin Holland, right? You got a guy that can match your height, can match your reach. That's going to be fucking huge. You know, we saw MVP make a living in the regionals, in Bellator, defend the takedowns using his length, not really using a ton of technique. You know, guys trying to get him to the cage, take him down against the cage, and he's just too fucking long for that, too tall for that. That's going to be a problem with Sam. You cannot do that versus Sam. Is MVP going to have way better striking? Yes. MVP is going to be the much better striker, much faster, much more technical on the feet. But Sam truly seems like he's putting shit together. You know what I'm saying? Striking looks improved. Not going to be a better striker, but looks improved enough to get the fight to where he wants the fight to be at, which is on the mat, obviously. And that's what I mean, man. Like, fucking camera, man. Testing. Hello? What about this? Really? That's what we doing? Holy moly. Let's fix that really quick. Camera. All right. And yeah, that's kind of what I mean, right? MVP having to fight a perfect fight. Yes, MVP is, you know, we all know hands down, you know, throwing shots from the waist, shit like that. But a lot of that is kind of overextending too, right? You're playing that range and then trying to dart into rage, overextending. You know, I think Patterson kind of, you know, time a level change or catch him off one of those, maybe an overextension on the feet. You know, Michael Page can just corral him up against the not Page. Sam Patterson kind of just corral him up against the cage, begin to put the pressure on, corral him up against the cage, take him down. You know, like I said, we've seen him taken down several times. Kevin Holland was able to take him down. Ian Gary was able to take him down. Jared Cannonier was able to take him down. You know, Sam Patterson is the best wrestler. I mean, Jared Cannonier is a pretty good wrestler. Definitely the best grappler. That MVP has faced in the UFC. So you cannot be in positions like you were in the Ian Gary fight and survive Sam Patterson. If Sam Patterson gets those positions, he's finishing MVP. You know what I'm saying? So it's just in a fight where everybody's counting him out. They're like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is MVP fighting this guy? Makes no sense. I think Sam Patterson is going to shock the world. You know, slightly shock the world. And pick up this, you know, the biggest win in his career. I really do. So length and size to deal with him. MVP's not a power striker to begin with. You know, so everybody loves to say, you know, Sam Patterson has durability questions. Why? Like, is his chin dust? I don't think so. Gets knocked out by Yanel Ashmus. Other than that, you know, people are catching him on the feet, maybe buzzing him on the feet, not knocking him the fuck out because it's tough. Even if you knock him down, you're gonna go in his fucking guard? Absolutely not. So he has that you know going for him too. He can get knocked down, be very, very hurt, and guys just don't want to fuck with him down there, giving him the time to recover a little bit, stand back up. So yeah, man, the Trey Waters fight I think was a very impressive look. Danny Barlow fight, very impressive look in my opinion. 2 back-to-back round 1 finishes, both via strikes. I think those were very impressive performances. Is Danny Barlow, is Trey Waters upper echelon? Are they great? No. But I think they're talented individuals, definitely UFC level. And not only did Sam Patterson win those fights, dominated those fights, finished those fights in round 1. So I think Sam is being way overly slept on here. Love the price, plus 160. Like I said, I think we'll get a better price in the morning. So I'm going to hold tight. But I do like Sam. I am going to play his money line. And like I said, Stand by sub will go in some type of violence, parlay, round robin, Sam Patterson by points, Sam Patterson by split. I love all of those things, man. Love them a lot. That's hot take of the week right there. Next fight, co-main of the evening. We got 2 fights left. We got the co-main. We got the main event. If you're still watching on YouTube, make sure you like the stream. Helps me out a ton. Helps get new eyeballs on the stream. We're just starting this YouTube thing. I think this is our 3rd or 4th video on YouTube. So now is a very, very important time, for the channel. Trying to build a community here and give all the value that I can to you guys so you guys can make money on these cards and with these football games, basketball games, MLB games, everything under the sun. So, yeah, man, hit that like button. Share the stream. Helps me out a ton. Appreciate you guys for watching and tuning in. You guys could be doing anything, man. It's Friday evening, Friday night. You guys could be doing anything, but you're chilling with me here, so I appreciate that a ton. Co-main event of the evening, Luke Riley versus Michael Aswell Jr. Luke Riley, we kind of been seeing a little bit of steam on the Aswell side. Riley did dip under minus 200, sitting around minus 190, minus 195 now. Come back on Michael Aswell plus 170. I like Luke Riley in the spot. I'm just not quite sure how I'm going to play it yet. I don't love the number, but I think this is a really good stylistic matchup for Luke Riley. I don't think Luke Riley is the most put together fighter ever. I don't think he's, I just don't think he's a very, very well put together fighter, in my opinion. I think he has things that he does incredibly well. I think he can, obviously, great power for the division, can wrestle, can grapple, good kicking game, great cardio. Those are all great things, but I don't necessarily think he shines in any aspect of fighting. But this is why I say I think he has a perfect matchup in front of him. Michael Aswell, you get in a beautiful, beautiful sell high spot. People are just deep throwing the fuck out of. Do I love Michael Aswell? Absolutely. How can you watch Michael Aswell fight and not love Michael Aswell? He's a fucking dog. Never out of a fight. Gonna push the pace, get in your face, throw volume. We love that shit as fans of the sport. But people are on his fucking jock for his last fight. Very impressive fight. Knockout inside of 2 minutes. Only problem with that, Lucas Almeida had a broken fucking hand going into that fight. Lucas Almeida didn't even throw hands in that fight. Was clearly compromised. Clearly shouldn't have been fighting. Other than that, what has he proven in the UFC? Lost to Bogdan Grad, who Luke Riley just knocked the fuck out, and lost to Balaji Oki. So, has he put on a good account of himself in those fights? Absolutely. Those were not one-sided fights. You can make an argument that Michael Aswell beat Bogdan Grad. I'll give you that. So he's shown a good account of himself. He stays in fights. But now, Balaji Oki, although he looks so menacing and shit like that, has not proven to be a potent finisher at this level. Bogdan Grad, we've seen the holes in his game. We've seen him finished, I think, right, multiple times in the UFC now, right? Yeah. Multiple times in the UFC we've seen him finished. So what has Michael Aswell proven in the UFC? Not the ability to win. You got to just absolutely throw that last fight out. We've seen him take L's. We've seen him take an L on the regionals. He has shining qualities as well. Everything I just said. Great cardio, great volume. Will fight for your money. Dogs in his chest. But in this type of fight where it's going to be, less room to make mistakes versus a guy like Luke Riley, Michael Aswell's defense is dog shit. Balaji Oki in a 3-round fight landed 136 significant strikes. How many total strikes? Oh no, that is total. That is total. Almost 140 strikes. Bogdan Grad 3-round fight. North of 100 strikes landed on Michael Aswell. Michael Aswell is easy to hit. A lot of that is his style too. Like I said, always pushing forward, always in your face. I don't think that's going to be good versus Luke Riley. Luke Riley has true power in his hands. I think Luke Riley is going to hurt Michael Aswell extremely bad in this fight. Possibly finishes him. But I think the damage, I think the moments, the finishing equity are all majorly on the Luke Riley side. So there's going to be some fights where Michael Aswell is going to be able to have that dog shit defense, push forward, put the pressure on. He's gonna break motherfuckers. I don't think Luke Riley is that type of guy. I know he's a Cage Warrior guy, and people got doubts with those guys, but Luke is being put in this co-main event slot for a reason. His hometown, like we said about a lot of these fighters. So, still, even if it is a close fight, hometown robbery equity, which we love. So, like I said, haven't decided how I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna be on the Luke Riley side. KO or points is interesting. Probably not a great price. Let's look at it now. Double chance KO. Yeah, it's basically the same as the money line. So yeah, man, I'll see what the line does. I'm not really super fucking duper interested in parlaying Luke Riley at all. But yeah, I like that side. My man Sports Fan is in the YouTube chat. What says, what up, my guy? What's good, my brother? Appreciate you for watching, tapping in. Appreciate you for chatting. I hope you are having an amazing night, my brother. All right. Wow, I just realized I just left the fucking graphic up the whole time. Main event of the evening, main event of UFC London is going to be absolute motherfucking banger. Battle of the undefeated, battle of the unbeatens. Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. Evloev, pretty sizable favorite, minus 240. The comeback on Lerone Murphy is plus 195. So this was the first bet that I made. I gotta fucking wrap this up. My fucking sinuses are going crazy right now. So yeah, this was the first fight that I locked in. I bet Evloev moneyline and fight to start round 2. I got minus 210. This was when he was like minus 275. He then dropped to like minus 225, and now we're seeing more buyback. Now he's odds on the current screen minus 240, minus 250. So yeah, man, I like reducing it a little bit, buying some of the juice down. And that's a pretty big bet for me, man. Movsar moneyline and fight to start round 2. I also laid half a unit on Movsar decision at even money, minus 110. Yeah, man, I think it's a great fight for Evloev. I think Evloev is going to dominate this fight early. I think he's going to work his way into the fight round 1. Maybe it's a little timid. I think Lerone is going to be very patient, very timid early on in this fight. Maybe it takes Movsar a couple of minutes to do something, do anything. But, if Movsar wants takedowns, he's going to get takedowns here, man. We've seen several guys. I'm sure you guys have seen it on Twitter. I've seen that clip going around. I've seen that shit at least like 3 or 4 times of, Murphy getting taken down pretty much at will. You know what I'm saying? Does he have the ability to get back up? Yes. Does he have the ability to bounce back and win these fights, finish some of these fights that he's getting taken down in? Absolutely. I've also seen him lose a fight by getting wrestle fucked. I don't give a fuck what the record said. He lost the Gabriel Santos fight. How did he lose the Gabriel Santos fight? He lost it via pretty relentless wrestling grappling from Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos, let's look it up. Let's look at the exact stats. So, Lerone Murphy. Gabriel Santos, 5 of 11 on takedowns, 4 minutes of control time, and landed 87 strikes in 3 rounds. No question about it, won that fight. Josh Emmett, 4 takedowns, including one where he fucking picked him up like a little baby and like threw him over his fucking head like a, I don't know, like a shot put or something. Dan Ige took Lerone Murphy down. Aaron Pico took Lerone Murphy down twice. I know Aaron Pico got knocked the fuck out, but I'm just saying, almost every single fight, Makwan Amirkhani, this is what I mean, right? The ability for Lerone to weather that wrestling storm, come back, finish guys. Makwan Amirkhani, fucking 5 of 7 on takedowns in basically a round and a half. You cannot be doing that shit with Movsar Evloev. Probably the nastiest wrestle grappler. Let me think. I'm terrible at this shit. Probably the nastiest wrestler, grappler, at least wrestler in the division. He is going to get takedowns at will. He's going to dominate the first cut. I think first round, second round, I think is going to be Movsar. 0 doubts about it. Not even England judges will be able to give Lerone rounds 1 and round 2. After that, Lerone is not going to fuck off. Lerone is going to be there all 5 of these rounds. Movsar has shown the tendency to slow down a bit late in fights, late round 3s and things like that. He is not immune to that shit. A heavy wrestling, grappling style is going to eat at the gas tank, is going to test your gas tank. So we have seen that. So I think the middle portion of this fight, round 3, round 4, I think one of those rounds, Movsar kind of plays a little safer, maybe doesn't shoot as much. Borderline takes the round off a bit. I banked 2 rounds, takes one of these rounds off. But I have full confidence in Movsar. I have full confidence in Movsar's fight IQ, his ability to push through being tired, like we've seen, his ability to get takedowns late in this. Excuse me, I gotta wrap this shit up. He's shown the ability to, get takedowns late in fights. I think he's gonna do that here. Get takedowns late in this fight. I trust Movsar to win fights, put together minutes, put together rounds. So even in a 5-round fight where he has shown some susceptibility late round 3s, I think he's going to be just fine, man. I do. Is he going to easily consolidate position every single takedown he gets? Probably not. I respect Lerone. I respect his get-up game. I respect his strength and physicality. I respect his will to win. But this is not a good matchup for him, in my opinion. So, all Movsar has done is win. So until you prove that you can beat a guy like that, what equity does Lerone have? I literally think the only equity he has to win this fight is like a meme, just something freak, like the Pico fight, maybe a spinning elbow or like a knee up the middle, some goofy shit like that. I think that's the only equity he has, or just an absolute fucking robbery, absolute robbery. Maybe Movsar wins 4 of the 5 rounds and the judges fucking give it to him by split, But yeah, man. So I just reduced the juice a little bit. Evloev money line fight to start round 2. That's how I think the fight goes, man. Domination early, maybe coasting a little bit middle of the fight, but then back half of round 4, round 5, I think he turns it back up, puts the pedal to the, presses the gas again, and does what he needs to do to secure a decision win. So I don't know how likely a sub is or anything like that. Again, I played the decision. I have a lot invested in this fight. Between those 2 plays, the decision and the money line fight to start round 2, I got a lot invested in this fight. So, yeah, man, that's how I think it plays out. Lerone, not a pushover by any means. One of the best fighters in the world at this weight. Just not a good matchup for him, in my opinion. So, yeah, man, that'll do it. That is the 13th fight UFC London card from bottom to top. We have a lot of best bets. Obviously, the fights don't start until tomorrow, so I'm not going to do a whole recap and all of that shit. You guys can, if you're watching this back, obviously you'll get all the best bets. Yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed. We've been live for almost 2 hours. I hope you guys found some value. I hope you guys walk away from this smarter than you kind of came in, even if it's only about the UFC or this card in particular. So, yeah, man, we're coming off an amazing UFC card last week, and we're going to do it again, UFC London. So, appreciate you guys for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We got weekly streams coming at you. So yeah, man, appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'll see you early next week. Have